Happy Thursday evening, everybody, and welcome to Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz. Thank you so much for being here. It's going to be a great night. We're at Charlotte this evening for the NC811 Limited Series here on Turn 1. They're getting grid up, and qualifying is wrapped up, so let's take a look at tonight's starting grid here. Scott Formosa on the pole here tonight at IndyCar, continuing to pick the fine pace here each and every week, and going to start on the pole. Last week's race winner, Richard Swavely, is going to start P2. Robert Barber, Troy Hates, Stephen Luttrell going to start in the top 5. Doug Rock is going to start 6th. Shannon Wood, Landon on it. Kevin Stone, Joey Chatina is going to round out the top 10. Stoney Benfield, Vincent Short, Michael Saylor is going to start 13th. Bobby Wetzel was fast in practice. He's going to start 14th. Alan Crayer is going to start 15th. Doug Sigmund, Zach Stronsky, Ron Holyfield, Joseph Grijalva in the 22 making an appearance on Thursday night. He's going to start 19th here. Trevor Martin, DeAndre Kane, Jason White, Dalton Bernius, James Smith, and Rick Kennedy Jr. is going to start 25th. 26th is Dalton Allen. 27th, Gerald Livingston. Alex Grog is going to be 28th. Jake Goodwin 29th, and Paul Tyler round out the 30-car field here as they roll off pit road at Charlotte. It's going to be a good time here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. If you haven't watched the race at Charlotte, in a car like this, the trucks is very similar. It is going to be fast-paced. A lot of grip is going to be in this racetrack, but the conditions are going to matter most. These drivers are going to be struggling with handling after about 10 to 12 green flag laps. These tires are going to fall off, and they're going to have to manage the car. The fixed setup group here with the NC811 Limited Series, they only have a couple sets of tires in the pits. And ultimately, not a whole lot of time to race themselves forward. Out front, Formosa, Swavely, Barber, Haight, Luttrell, your top 5. Pace car heads down pit road. The front row into the start zone there. The green flag waves. We're racing in Charlotte on Thursday night for the NC811 Limited Series. Through turn 1, Formosa out front. Swavely, Barber battle at in that second row there. Those two going at it. Swavely, last week's race winner here on Thursday night, looking to repeat here. Sitting on that outside line. It's going to be a little difficult there to make that happen. with that 83 car sitting just underneath. These cars, man, it is high horsepower on these ARCA machines. They have really found something special with this car. I would say this is the new B car. Everybody used to love running the Xfinity car, and so many folks really enjoy this ARCA model here on iRacing, and well, it shows here. It puts on some fantastic racing as we continue to see the 83 and the 32 side by side. Waverly's going to get tight through the corner. Barber is going to have a great bottom run through 3 and 4. Now he's going to look to the inside. The 83 and the 80 side by side for the lead. Robert Barber wraps the bottom, gets clear. New leader here, lap number 4. Robert Barber out front. Scott from Moses going to settle in, and you can tell pretty much everybody else back here. That's Troy Haight landed on it in this mix. Joey Chattina, Stephen Luttrell, Bobby Wetzel, Doug Roth right here on the tail end of this group. Everybody's looking through this traffic, trying to make gains early, because once you get spread out, once these tires start to fall off, it's going to be hard to make up room, make up ground. Just riding on board here, the 43 of Doug Roth. Looking to the back bumper of Stephen Luttrell. I'm sorry, Joey Chattina and Bobby Wetzel. As they battle door to door. Through the corner, and everybody able to make it out. Meanwhile, our top 3 nearly single filed out. Troy Haight working the outside line. He's got Joey Chattina right underneath him. He goes high through this tri-oval. And then looking back, I'm sorry, that was Troy Haight, but Joey Chattina behind Troy Haight now, starting to look inside. Steve Luttrell right there as well, as they start to get single filed out. Working lap number 7. You're already seeing some of those different line strategies running. Tight to the door of one another. Oh, Doug Roth goes around. That was down there on the back stretch. I believe that was, who was that on the outside? Was that Zach Stronsky? No. Let's go back here and take a look. That may have been actually Vincent Short. Nope, it was not Vincent. He got caught up in the aftermath. Somebody had Doug Roth pinned up against the wall there. Let's take one more look at it here with the 43. Off the corner. Oh, and he just comes up not clear. Oh. That was the 17 of Kevin Stone up there. And that is going to bring the caution out here for the first time tonight. Robert Barber leads lap number 9. We're going to step aside here for just a moment. You're watching Turn 1. Getting ready to go back. Green flag racing here on lap number 12. Robert Barber leads Troy Haight. Scott Formosa's caution number 1 of the night coming to a close. Thanks everybody for tuning in here to Turn 1 again for the NC811 Limited Series Live here on a Thursday nights. Scott Formosa comes into the night the point leader. We'll talk more about that as the night goes on. These laps are going to fly by pretty quickly. Sub 30-second lap times here, so they're going to click off fast, and these drivers have got a lot of opportunity to make some passes here around this Charlotte Motor Speedway. We saw them get strewn out pretty quickly here outside of that backstretch incident. Coming off a 2, it's going to get a little tight. Coming off a 4, it also gets tight into the tri-oval. But Robert Barber going to have a shot at the first restart of the evening, and this could get chaotic. A little bit of green flag action on these tires. Hopefully nobody spins them into the restart zone. They go. Robert Barber sees the green flag back out here at Charlotte. Barber gets out free and clear. I saw it getting spicy there early. That's Formosa on the high line. Or Formosa, yeah, wrapping that high line there. He gets single file, but then it's Troy Haight and Joey Jattina side by side for 4th. These runs these guys are going to have are massive as Haight sends it way up high. Hoping to have the momentum off the corner. He's going to be about half a car length, and now full car length. He's going to get clear of the 14 and the 32 battle. Taking a look a little further back, you can tell the back half of this pack interested in just running this out a little while. The 8 car and the 95 side by side with one another. That's Martin on the high line there. As again, it tightens up right there off of 4. That is where a lot of these drivers are going to have their work cut out for them, is hanging on to the car there. Off of 4. Robert Barber, though, out front, free and clear. By about 5 car lengths, Troy Haight has slotted himself into the second place spot. Scott Formosa sitting 3rd. Looks like we had a car through the grass there at one point, at least counted as an off track. Bobby Wetzel picking up a fast lap this last time by. As everybody comes across the start finish on line here to take lap number 16. Taking a look back there at Bobby Wetzel, and he was quick during practice, top 5 pace for all of practice, but not the best qualifying effort. Outside the top 10, working his way forward. Let's actually take a lap here as Bobby Wetzel wraps through traffic. Running 11th with Shannon Wood, Steve Luttrell on the nose. Back out front, Robert Barber continues to lead here as they come to lap number 19 of 110. On Thursday night, live action NC811 Limited Series. Here on Turn 1, I see we've got Ernie's Bar and Grill live in the YouTube chat. Thanks so much for being here, gents. Your driver, the number 22. Well, he's up there running 7th at the moment, up 12 spots on the night. This is Joseph Grijalva's. I don't know. I can see this being his type of racetrack. And right now having a good run of it. Looking back here, side-by-side battle. These two have been at it for a little bit. That is Zach Stronsky, DeAndre Kane. They get that sorted out. As we go back up front, and they start to fan out a little bit back off the bumper of the 83. Looking off the back bumper here of the 83. These runs are starting to build. I think some folks are starting to get some things figured out in terms of pace. Troy Haight continues to poke the nose. Real close to the bumper there. We saw him nearly take it to the inside for the lead. Scott Formosa sitting third, but he has got Joey Jatina on the inside. Jatina up here battling for this for a solid top 3 spot here. Has been in contention most of the night. Up front, and then back behind him is Trevor Martin. Trevor up 15 spots on the night. I know we've got some Trevor Martin folks in the house. Well, he's having a really good night at the moment, up 15 spots, running 5th. Richard Swavely, again, last week's race winner, and would love to continue having a really good points run of it. Right now, sitting in 7th, Shannon Wood, Bobby Wetzel, and Michael Saylor, your top 10. As we, again, look out front, Robert Barber able to take the lead and continue running here at Charlotte. Let's take a look at the fastest 5, the last 5. Bobby Wetzel. No surprise there on the top of that list. Joseph Grijalva. Again, no shocker there. Grijalva running now 6th. Shannon Wood, Trevor Martin, Joey Jatina, your top 5 fastest, the last 5. As we look back again, back behind our leader, and that's Joey Jatina. And Troy Haight continuing to run door to door. It gets tight through the corner. And a couple drivers off track. Not sure exactly what happened there. Not able to really locate them. Oh, we've got cars spinning. That's Trevor Martin, one of the drivers involved. That's going to bring the caution out. Let's find out what happened to the 95. Oh, the 22 coming up wasn't quite clear. Grijalva involved here with the 95, and that's going to bring the second caution of the night out. And it looks like they're going to get caught up with the pace car. This would be a good time for, I think, some of these drivers to make a pit call as they get caught up with the pace car. While that strategy plays out, we're going to step aside one more time. You're watching Turn 1. Pace car, lights are off as we get ready to go back. Green flag racing here, lap number 28. Robert Barber, your leader at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And been an interesting night so far. A lot of runs, but a lot of speed. And these drivers still trying to figure out what these ARCA machines can do here at Charlotte as we're just past the we're coming up on the quarter of the way mark of these 110 laps. They're flying by really quick. Thanks for tuning in. Into the restart zone they go. Robert Barber and everybody else has got some fresh tires. Let's see what they can do. Green flag back out. Barber gets a great jump. Formosa on the inside. He's going to protect that bottom. Chatina's going to follow him through here. Stoney Benfield, I think he is a two-tire call only. That's going to bring him into the top four for the first time here this evening. We'll see how that call plays out. It does look like track position may be key here to success, but can Benfield keep up with the pace? That'll be a story to walk through as the night goes on. Looking back a little further, Ron Holyfield, also one of those drivers electing to take two tires only through the pit stop cycle under caution, gaining some track position. He's into the top 10 for the first time here tonight. Meanwhile, Joey Jatina is able to get the door shut on Scott Formosa for second place. You've heard me talk about Jatina over the last couple weeks, and that 14 car is quick. He has found a good bit of speed in a couple different disciplines. He's really turned up and has got some stuff figured out right now. Running P2 here in Charlotte. As we look back here a little further, though, it's Dalton Allen, Alan Crair, Ron Holyfield, Rick Kennedy Jr. back here in the mix. Zach Stronsky. And also in this group. And if they're going to make it, oh gosh. That for a minute, I thought that was going to be a three-wide move right there out of Rick Kennedy. That was Dalton Bernius that I thought was going to make that middle move there as he squeezes around Kennedy through the corner. Kennedy, one of those drivers who also looks like may have taken two tires only. That call not necessarily working out for him so far here is back out front. We're starting to see Jatina get a little racy, and by that car is darting up and down the racetrack a little bit. Jatina trying to go places that you're not seeing the 83 go, but Robert Barber out front on the point here, able to hang on to the lead. And then it's Jatina, Formosa, Haight, and then they've got a bit of a gap. That's actually a 1.4 second gap back to Shannon Wood. Running in that fifth place spot, Alan Crair, Mike Saylor, Dalton Allen, Dalton Bernius, Stoney Benfield, your top 10. Here as they work lap number 33 at Charlotte. Back out front we go, and you heard me talk about Joey Jatina starting to challenge the racetrack a little bit on those newer tires, trying to find a place to run that makes sense so he could find some speed that Robert Barber doesn't have. Well, he has closed that lead here within a car length or so, but Formosa is right off the bumper as well. And now that he's caught the 83, what do you do with him? He has the clean air, and he's been able to hold the preferred line. He's going all the way right there to the bottom, right there above that white stripe. Works the 83 car around the corner, and if you're Joey Jatina, what do you do? Where else do you try to take the car? We've not really seen the high line be very advantageous here. And the runs, it's just, this car seems like you build a head of steam, but then once you get behind somebody, it's really hard to get around them. We take a look a little further back here. That's the 85 Dalton Birdie, Stephen Luttrell, and the 36 Rick Kennedy Jr. back here as well. Everybody else mostly single filed out except this battle right here. That's James Smith, DeAndre Kane. Working side by side one another off of turn 2. Everybody spread out pretty far here under these green flag conditions and these newer tires. This has the makings of being a pretty good green flag run. Got some Formosa fans in the house. Number 22. With Frosty, I'm not quite sure. I'm following guys with the 22. What's going on there? I show the 22 is Joseph Grijalva as we've got the caution out. And James Smith involved. Let's take a look. Oh, down on the apron, and then, oh! Tagging Ron Holyfield, and then that's going to send the 64 around as well as James Smith there, and that's going to bring the caution out once again here at Charlotte. Robert Barber, Joey Chatina, Scott Formosa, Troy Hayne, Alan Carrera, your top 5. Shannon Wood, Mike Saylor, Dalton Allen, Steve Luttrell, Dalton Bernius, your top 10. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these drivers pulled 2-tire stops only last time through. What does that get changed up here? What does that play a factor into who comes down and takes tires or not? And by the way, I mean, you've only got about 15 laps of green flag action on these tires, so you really got to make some tough decisions, and it looks like that's going to bring everybody down. A surprising call here as we see folks hit pit road under caution. We're going to step aside. You're watching Turn 1. Looks like 2 tire calls for a majority of this field. With the exception of the driver you're going to find out front. That's the Andre Kane. He elects to stay out, and he's going to start on the outside. He does not come down pit road. The rest of this field electing to take 2 tires down pit road and a splash of gas. I think that gets them to a one-stop situation. Here we'll continue to follow that as we get ready to see a restart here. Wrapping up caution number 3 of the night. DeAndre Kane on the outside. Robert Barber on the inside. Green flag back out here at Charlotte. Three wide for the lead. Kane's going to get swallowed up. Robert Barber hits the apron and then gets into Kane. Meanwhile, Joey Gentina takes the lead and he's gone. Kane not going to get bullied out of that spot. Stays on the outside of the 83. Works off the tri-oval. Stays even. Those older tires holding up so far. Looking to the outside. He continues to maintain the run off of 2, but it's all Joey Gentina, and he's starting to pull away 0.5 of a second of a lead. Robert Barber has led a large number of laps here this evening, and he's not had to battle with a whole lot of traffic. As Kane continues to be right there on that right-hand quarter panel. He's not going to be able to hang on to it this time. Barber now is going to settle into second. Formosa, Shannon Wood. They are side by side. Kane still hanging on up here for that 3rd place spot. And then it's pretty much a 2x2 battle all the way back through the rest of the field, through pretty much the top, I don't know, the top 15 we'll call it. An impressive restart on a 2-tire strategy for a lot of these drivers now, as Kane starting to feel the pressure of Shannon Wood, Bobby Wetzel right there, Steve Luttrell. Formosa lost a couple spots here. I don't know what happened to the 80 car. He fell back through the field a little bit. Steven Luttrell now starting to pressure the 2 of Shannon Wood. He's back there. He's back right to the bumper of Wood. Working off of 2. These guys just can't really get away from each other. This is all about those runs we were talking about. Meanwhile, out front, Joey Gentina leads, but Robert Barber is starting to run him down with his drivers back behind him, having to navigate through some traffic. Oh, they're 3 wide off of 4. Little door banging there, and Bobby Wetzel says, I'm going to slide by on the outside. Shannon Wood gets a nudge. He gets tight, slides up to the wall. So far, we stay green. No prisoners here during this race tonight. Let's go back up to the lead. And Robert Barber led a bunch of laps here. The majority, I would say, so far tonight. Lost them on that restart. Lost that top spot with the Andre Kane restarting in the lead. And the 14 car was able to drive away a little bit. Now Barber's had to run him back down. We've seen several folks in this very same position back behind the 83. Once you catch the leader, what do you do with it? Right now, I think Robert Barber is trying to figure that out. They are really getting racy back here. They're going to be 3 wide. That's Scott Formosa, Zach Stronsky right there. Formosa's going to back out of it. I think he saw what that was going to materialize into. That's the Andre Kane. He's falling back to 8th. He'd like to stay into a top 10 here. He's going to save a set of tires on pit road, but how long can he hang on? As he's going to look underneath Shannon Wood. Meanwhile, we talked about being out front and Joey Cetino. Well, guess what? The 83 has lost that second place spot to Steven Luttrell, and now Steven's out here right glued to the bumper of the 14, and the rest of this group is able to get back up there. These runs starting to bring the top 5 together. Robert Barber is now falling back to 4th. I suspect Barber's gotten those tires a little hot, and they're going to be 3 wide for the lead. Troy Haight on the outside. That's those runs I was talking about. These cars just feel like slingshots back and forth. Not restrictor plate racing, but it certainly looks like it is. Troy Haight is going to lead as they come across the stripe to take 54. Joey Cetino, just like that, is going to fall back to 3rd, but they're side by side for the lead. Haight, Luttrell. As they want to try to pull away, they don't want to continue to run here. Side by side, that's only going to allow the drivers back behind them to get those runs. Another driver up here into the top 10, or the top 5 rather, that's Bobby Wetzel. You see the 83 car. Going to look underneath Wetzel. Here comes Zach Stronsky as well. The 2-tire strategies. These drivers are starting to understand the impact of those decisions. Wow, I think Stronsky and Wetzel nearly made contact there, door to door, coming through 3 and 4. We're able to hold it off. Ron Holyfield. You've seen him be in the middle of some of this action tonight. He is back up here in that 10th place spot on the inside. Got that car just trimmed out. Look at those colors on that Napa. Number 27. A little different of an orange there. I really dig that paint scheme. Back out front, though, it's Troy Haight and Steven Luttrell. They have actually pulled away from Joey Cetino by, oh goodness, about a 1.4 second lead as Zach Stronsky now is going to look underneath the 14 car for 3rd. They work the bottom of the corner. Robert Barber, again, the driver who's led a large portion of laps here tonight, lost that lead on the restart here after that lap 40 caution, and really has been marred back in traffic, and that just shows just how dominant that clean air can be. Troy Haight, another example of that. He's been able to bring Luttrell along for the ride, but now Luttrell's going to look to the inside ever so slightly. Pokes his nose down there, nothing doing, gets back in line as they come across the stripe here for lap number 56. Again, past halfway. I'm sorry, that's coming back across the stripe for lap number 59 as we're past halfway for tonight's NC811 Limited Series. Live here on Turn 1, the Sim 500, the OGs of the limited format. Live on a Sunday night. Thank you so much for tuning in, and tell you what, if you like what you see, you're enjoying the racing, the racecraft, they're three wide coming off of 4. That's Shannon Wood on the high line there. That's Robert Barber, Doug Roth. If you like seeing that at Charlotte, you like these ARCA cars, you like this limited format and having to think through strategy a little bit with limited tires, fuel, and laps, well, guess what? You're in the right place on Thursday night, and I strongly encourage you to head on over to sim500.com. Do a search, or I'm sorry, get signed up, come racing with some of the iRacing League's best. Sim500.com. They are racing, I think, 4 or 5 nights a week right now. It's pretty impressive what they've got going on with Joey and the gang. So again, sim500.com. Get registered, come racing. here on turn one. It remains Troy Haight out front. Steve Luttrell just riding in the shadows. Zach Stronsky settled into third. Joey Jatina in fourth. Bobby Wetzel fifth here. Shannon Wood, Robert Barber, Doug Ross, Scott Formosa. They're all in a bit of a quagmire back here in this traffic. Let's ride on board Scott Formosa as he's looking out front at the Robert Barber and a 43 at Doug Roth. They are getting dicey back here. Those two tires have finally met some with four as we work lap number 64 back here around that 10th place spot around Scott Formosa. You saw Stoney Benfield in that 75 car drive by and drive away. He is one of those drivers that took four tires lap 40. Now starting to press his way forward as he looks underneath the 43 of Doug Roth. That is grip just being king right here as these lap times starting to fall off for the rest of these drivers. Stoney Benfield never been a 4/10 a second a lap faster as he gets by the 43. Now he's looking to go after Joey Jatina. What a gamble starting to pay off there for the 75. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Another one of those drivers racing himself forward is that's Ron Holyfield. He's got those newer tires. Rick Kennedy Jr. just behind him as well. On those four tires as we see Scott Formosa fall back to 11th. Robert Barber has fallen all the way back to 12th. But out front right now, it is Troy Haight. On full cruise control here, let's take a look at the lap leaders. Robert Barber led 37, Haight's up to 14. And right now, Stephen Luttrell has not really done a whole lot to try to challenge. He's just been riding right there, and these two have really separated themselves from the rest of the field. There's a 1.3 second gap back to Zach Stronsky, and then there's another 1.7 back to Bobby Wetzel. A little bit of draft playing a factor here at Charlotte. That's not something I would normally be saying is happening. Luttrell, we just saw that pass for the lead coming off a 4. This is Troy Haight trying to cross him over. Luttrell made that pass for the lead, got credited for leading that lap. But now, Troy Haight's going to have to settle back in, losing some of that grip. New leader here in the 36 of Stephen Luttrell. Zach Stronsky likes what he's seeing. Now, through that exchange, by the way, he has gained 3/10 back up to these two racing. Little side-by-side action is going to let the 16 car start to reel them in a little bit as, man, Troy Haight really falling off now. You're starting to see the gap widen there for Haight. So we've got a couple drivers elected to come down pit road. It looks like Jason White is going to come to the attention of his crew under these green flag conditions. And Zach Stronsky now within under a second here of Troy Hayes is Stephen Luttrell out front, starting to drive away with it a little bit, coming off a 2. Everybody is fanned out. We talked about Stoney Benfield and those 4 tires for that 75. Well, guess what? He is up to 5th now, as he's looking to the bumper here of Bobby Wetzel. Looking through the rest of the field here, Shannon Wood, Rick Kennedy side by side. Kevin Stone, James Smith, and others here just continuing to run out these laps, working lap number 73. Here at Charlotte Motor Speedway is, again, this is not the type of race I expected here, them being fully spread out like this, but this is a byproduct of the new and old tire runs that a lot of these drivers have gotten, or a lot of these drivers had. Again, these 2 tires versus 4, and what all that looked like for many of these drivers is Benfield settled up into that 5th place spot. We've got more drivers coming down pit road. That's Michael Saylor on a green flag pit stop. Lap number 74. Stephen Luttrell free and clear out front. Troy Hayes hanging out 2nd. Bobby Wetzel, Shannon Wood down pit road. More green flag pit stops as they are really turned up now. Nobody able to make it the whole way, so everybody coming down pit road to the attention of their crew to get those set of tires in the pits, and a little bit of fuel here as Zach Stronsky is able to drive around Troy Hayes. Hayes going to hang out on that outside line. Stronsky riding around just underneath him here. A very similar move we saw with Hayes trying to push the issue. When Luttrell got around him, well, he's going to get the door shut on the 16 again for a little while. How long can he hold it shut? Meanwhile, I think we saw Joey Jatina, Doug Roth, Scott Formosa all hit pit road. Again, green flag pit stops firing off here. And the closing laps for the NC811 Limited Series live on Turn 1. Hayes, Stronsky again side by side. That is a lap down car right there of, oh, that's Michael, nope, I'm sorry, that is not Michael Saylor. Yeah, that is Michael Saylor right there. He is a lap down. So that is not for position. He also has those newer tires. So you'll be able to see him make some moves that maybe many others cannot. Just with that grip as they start to come up to tip now. And yep, there it is. He's going to drive around the 16 and drive away. As the 16 of Zach Stronsky settles into 2nd, Kevin Stone is going to hit pit road to the attention of his crew. Looks like Stoney Benfield's going to come down pit road. That'll break Gerald Livingston as well. Again, those green flag pit stops underway here. Working lap number 79. They're quickly ticking away. No sign of Stephen Luttrell coming down pit road. These 2 drivers back behind him. That's Rick Swavely. On the roll there with those newer tires, working to put himself back on the lead lap. We've got another round. Troy Hayes hits pit road. Rick Kennedy, Dalton Allen is going to come down to the attention of his crew. The group of cars that have not come down just yet is starting to get very, very short. Just 5 drivers remain. Our leader, Stephen Luttrell, Zach Stronsky, Ron Holyfield, Doug Sigmund, James Smith, and there's Holyfield. He's going to hit pit road. Now, how long does Stephen Luttrell stay out like this? Because he is going to have to, he's going to have to come down pit road. And he's going to have to contend with Rick Swavely at some point. Swavely is going to be the leader once this all cycles through. And oh, actually, I take that back. He won't be. Swavely has not come down pit road. There you see it. He's going to come down now with Stephen Luttrell, Zach Stronsky. That's going to pretty much bring everybody back around. And guess what? The 14 car of Joey Jatina is your new leader as they cycle back through the green flag pit stops. They've got to get all the way back around here. Luttrell in the box. Jatina down the backstretch, now into 3 and 4. Luttrell is not going to be in the lead once they come back around. It's going to be Jatina, Roth, Formosa. These drivers electing to come down on lap number 70, lap number 71. And there you have it. New leader, the 14. The 43 is running second. Scott Formosa's running third. Bobby Wetzel, Shannon Wood, your top 5. See Stronsky there motoring by, and I'm sorry, that's not Stronsky, that's Luttrell, and coming down the newest tires here in the top 10 by a long shot, but does he have enough time to get caught up here? Meanwhile, Doug Roth challenging the 14 for the lead. Roth is going to grab it here. New leader as they're working to come to lap number 84 is the 43 of Doug Roth. Joey Jatina settles into second and falls in line pretty quickly here. Scott Formosa running third. Bobby Wetzel, Shannon Wood, Troy Haight, Robert Barber, Alec Rare. And then Stephen Luttrell, you heard that he has fallen, or he's settled back into 9th here. I don't know about if I like that gamble. If I were the 96, or sorry, the 36, he had a long time out front with others coming down pit road. Can he make up the 5-second gap he holds back here behind the 43 car? That's going to be the story of the night, especially if this were to stay green flag. As we work down the backstretch here, let's ride on board with another driver fairly real quick. Let's do it with the 80 of Formosa. Dealing with some lap traffic and others here, battling into the top 3 as we ride on board. Getting racy up here for the lead, and you see it there. It's Joey Jatina, Bobby Wetzel. They're battling with some lap traffic. Roth back and forth as well. And Bobby Wetzel's going to try to drive away off the bottom there. New leader Bobby Wetzel in the 9 as they work down the backstretch here with 23 to go here on turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz. Thanks so much for tuning in. This big gaggle of cars here is going to get the top 5 all bunched up. Wetzel would love to drive away a little bit here, create some distance with himself. I believe that's Vincent Short. It is. He is a lap down. He's running 22nd. This is not for position with Short, but man, he is up here racing the leaders. Hoping he can get that lap back at some point. Jatina's going to fall into second. Troy Hay, Doug Ross, Scott Formosa, Shannon Woodall in this group. Is there 3 wide right there? That's Formosa on the high line. Wood on the inside, Roth right down the middle. Remember we were talking about a little while ago, that was Stephen Luttrell. What can he run that gap down? Robert Barber now feeling the pressure of Luttrell as he slides by underneath him. That's going to be for 7th. And he has cut that gap down to about 2.5 seconds to the leader. Still got a long way to go and some traffic to navigate to get there, but he's got 20 laps to do it. Does it stay green? Does he have enough tire? Vincent Short gets heavy into the wall, racing to 14. Formosa and Woods split him as they come down the backstretch. Some exciting racing all up and down the racetrack in these ARCA cars. For the Sim 500 gang. Wetzel starting to drive away a little bit along with Troy Haight. But they're still battling pretty hard back here behind Vincent Short. Again, Vincent hoping a caution come out in this trap to be the lucky dog. Oh, we had a fight for the lead here. Troy Haight looking underneath Bobby Wetzel. Wow, Wetzel, I think, gets into the wall there. New leaders, they come across the stripe is Troy Haight. But I hate to break it to him, as now Joey Jatina looking underneath Wetzel. But here comes Stephen Luttrell. He is now caught to the back bumper of the 43 with a big shove down the backstretch. Working the draft, and he is now into the mix. New tires. The time difference now does not matter because Luttrell now has the time difference doesn't matter now. He's got new tires, and he's with this group that's been pretty racy. He just now has to navigate one car at a time, and he sees Formosa and Roth battling out. He goes deep on the inside. He's going to get by the 43 car. He's going to get a 2 for 1. He's going to get by the 80. Stephen Luttrell back up to the top 5 here as they come across the stripe with 15 to go. Now, Troy Haight has started to drive away. These runs, this momentum racing in these ARCA cars is something else. Already out to 0.8 of a second over Bobby Wetzel. Then Joey Jatina sitting here in third. Wood going high, and Luttrell just wrapping the bottom. He's going to pick up another spot, if not 2. Looking underneath the 14. We know Joey is not going to go down without a fight, but those newer tires are going to prevail. Luttrell driving through the field, up to third. Now only 1.2 seconds separate third place. With the leader here is, again, they're going to slide by Vincent Short a lap down. Luttrell on the outside. Now he's going to have to work around Bobby Wetzel. We'll see where that leads him. Wetzel runs the middle. Luttrell is forced to go to the high line as they work off the corner. Not able to make a run there. Now Luttrell's going to look to the inside. He's going to have the line. Wetzel's going to have the advantage, at least off the corner, to keep it straightened out. Luttrell's going to have the grip. They're even coming across the stripe. And there you have it. Luttrell is around the 9 car, up to second. Only a 1.1 second gap separates him from the lead. Troy Haight needs to have the afterburners on if he wants to be able to hang on to this as they come across the stripe. This is going to be 11 to go for that driver out front. He's led a bunch of laps here tonight. Car in pretty good shape, but he doesn't have the same lap times. We'll take a look at that next time by and see how they compare. But it is going to be a challenge. As they come across the stripe, the gap has fallen to 0.8 of a second. Haight, last time, waiting for it to update there, a 30.59. An identical lap time to his lap before, and then a 30.33 for Steven Luttrell, so that's 2.5 tenths. Faster a lap there for Luttrell as that gap now down to about 15 car lengths. Everybody else mostly single filed out here. These tires really starting to show their age for this group. Bobby Wetzel's hanging on to a nice third place spot. He's got a 0.5 of a second gap back down to the back to Shayden Wood. This would be a really solid run for the 9 if he can finish this out with a top 3 finish. But all eyes are going to be on this fight out front. Do we stay green? Troy Haight moves down to the bottom, trying to break up what little bit of draft. Luttrell's picking up down the backstretch. It's not going to matter, though. Luttrell closes the gap within 5 car lengths. You see the speed there, my goodness. The difference in tires, the quarter entry speed. Back across the stripe at 6 to go. Luttrell within 2 car lengths of our leader, Troy Haight. Not gonna be there off of 2, but take a look on the other end of the racetrack. He has been sending it deep down here into 3. Does Troy Haight move down to try to block? He is going to move down a little bit. Force the 36 to rethink the move. But no. The 36 is going to drive underneath him side by side with 5 to go. Those new tires, just no competition. You can't hang on to them. It's Troy Haight fighting for every bit of grip he can find on the racetrack. He's going to settle in to that second place spot. New leaders, they come across the stripe with 4 to go is the 36. Look back here a little further. That's Zach Stronsky, Doug Roth battling it out, as well as Shannon Wood. And everybody's got their eyes right there on the 9. Stronsky would love to pick that 3rd place spot up here before it's all said and done. He's ran up here, made some pretty solid gains the last couple laps. 0.2 faster last time by, 3 to go. Stronsky really closing the gap. Meanwhile, out front, it's Steven Luttrell. He is gone now. 0.3 out front of Troy Haight. Ostrowski looking to the underneath. Bobby Wetzel for third. This is the difference in tires here. The 16 came down on lap number 81. They run tight to the door of each other. It's a drag race down the backstretch. Back out front, the 36 car comes to the stripe. The flagman's gonna have the white flag one more time around for Stephen Luttrell. Here at Charlotte, Troy Hayes in second. Zach Stronsky's backed off a little bit. Bobby Wetzel, 3-car length lead for that second place spot. The Stronsky again send it down here into 3 and 4. One more attempt at it, but we go back out front. Green flag pit stop, staying out, pays off. Your winner, Stephen Luttrell at Charlotte. Troy Hayes gonna pick up second, and Bobby Wetzel is gonna pick up third. Zach Stronsky tried to pick that position up, and he's gonna settle for fourth. Doug Roth, Shannon Wood, Scott Formosa, Joey Jatina, Stoney Benfield, Robert Barber, your top 10 here. That's Charlotte as everybody winds it down. We're going to step aside for just a second. We'll bring you some post-race coverage live here on Turn 1. Another one in the books here for the NC811 Limited Series, and let's grab the 36 of Stephen Luttrell, who was able to bring home the victory here tonight. Stephen, congratulations. That pit strategy and that longer green flag run really paying off for you there at the end.
Yeah, I do best with long green flag runs. I can really make the tires last. That's exactly what I needed. I was just praying for no yellow.
Stephen, this car and this track combination tonight, it looked really interesting, as I call it. It didn't look bad, but it just looked like the runs were pretty massive. It also really looked like once you got tangled up alongside someone or within a group, it was really hard to separate from one another.
Yeah, the draft is really strong in this car at this track for whatever reason. Very strong. If you get stuck behind two people side by side, you're just going to have to wait till they figure it out or take them 3 wide, which is dangerous. But when you have to do it, you got to do it. But you know, yeah, just gotta take it easy on the tires and run consistent laps, and here you go.
How do you save the tires? How do you put yourself in a position to be able to save those tires, like you mentioned, while also managing the runs around you and keeping the car underneath you here? What plays a factor in that with this ARCA car that seems a little dynamic, a little differently than a lot of the other A, B, or C cars right now in the service?
Well, it's all about keeping the steering wheel steady, turn the wheel as little as possible, be really smooth on the throttle and the brake. And these ARCA cars, the tires are pretty hard, so they're a little easier to save, but they don't really react until they're nice and hot. So you can really tear them up for the first 4 or 5 laps with all that grip you're going to have, and it won't hurt them much because they're still getting up to temperature. So if you really push it in the first few, and then you can kind of cruise from there, and then you'll have the tire longer.
Well, able to manage it, played the pit strategy right to his favor. The 36, Stephen Luttrell, brings home the victory here tonight at Charlotte. Stephen, thank you for the time tonight.
Oh, thank you so much. I got to thank my dad for being on the booth and for accidentally giving me 2 tires on that second to last pit stop. I think that kind of made the difference. My mom, my dad, my wife, my kids, Golden Chef Racing, Golden Chef Speed Shop, for great sets on my other leagues, and everybody out there watching, and you for putting on the broadcast. Thanks.
Absolutely. Stephen Luttrell, your winner here tonight at Charlotte. Let's quickly grab Bobby Wetzel, who was able to bring home 3rd place here tonight. Bobby, congratulations. I will ask you the same thing I asked Stephen. This car looked really touchy, especially in group situations, and we saw you battling there in that top 10 most of the night. What say you? How did it feel from the driver's seat?
It was tight. The car was overall kind of a little bit on the snug side. Well, it's okay, though. I mean, I was able to figure out if you backed up the corner a little bit, you'd get the run off the corner. Back up going in, you'd get the run off. And, just I wished I would have had some, I wish I would have had 5, maybe 10 lap newer tires like Steve and Troy had. But, hey, that's how they get this one. And I'll take third. I haven't had a podium here in a while. Been just trying to keep my point situation good. Raced the heck out of the 16 Zach Stronsky. I really didn't mean to race him like that. It's just with the points position right now, I gotta grab as many points as I can.
No, I don't think anybody would blame you for that situation. We saw the tires really kind of fall off, but in a weird way, and then you had to manage those, like you mentioned, against the run, but also against the draft and getting away from the rest of the pack here. How much did that really matter from the driver's seat? What did the car do over that longer run?
Well, really, if you managed your tires early like me and Shannon would, it would pay dividends in the end, because I was able to pass on the low side where most of the race you couldn't. And as soon as you could do that, and you could put a little bit of brake in it, get it to turn for you, you started walking away from guys. I mean, if you look at some of the drivers that we were racing with at the start of the run and where they ended up at the end of the run, it's like we're a good 2 seconds ahead of them. So me and Shannon Wood, we were right there. Like, he had a good strategy too, and I just wish the tire strategy didn't come into play with Troy and Steven. I'm not to take anything away with them. It's just I felt like it would have been me and Shannon's race if it wasn't for that.
Well, obviously, another really good points night for you here tonight, leaving Charlotte. Congratulations on the top 3 finish, and we appreciate the time.
Yeah, and thanks to all you guys. Thanks to the league, the admins, everyone that puts on the show. And thanks for you for broadcasting and doing a wonderful job. You do an amazing job for us. And just keep watching the Great Lakes Brewery number 9 on the track.
Bobby Wetzel here finishing tonight at Charlotte in a really, really solid spot from a point situation. Again, I would not blame anybody for what he did there. Let's grab a hold of Troy Haight, who was able to bring home 2nd here tonight after leading a bunch of laps. Troy, congratulations on the top 3 finish. I know not the result you were looking for, though. Walk me through your evening here. Try to keep the car under control, keep the tires manageable, and the speed out front.
Yeah, that first run kind of fell back, and then try to the strategy kind of worked out this time. Usually I had the wrong strategy, and here it came up 5 laps short. The race was 105 laps. I think I would have had it, but other than that, it was a pretty good race. Not too many cautions, and I was glad that there's no caution there at the end, because I had my last set of tires on, so I would have got beat with fresh tires, like more than I did.
Yeah, that's always certainly a factor here with this limited group. Troy, I'll ask you the same thing I asked Bobby and Steven. It looked like the car here was really tough to tame in a big pack. So when you were trying to save your tires, but also when you got around a bunch of folks, it didn't seem like you could really get clear of somebody without really getting a run through the corner and then that drive off. How did that feel from your perspective, and how much did the draft play a factor here tonight at Charlotte in this ARCA machine?
Yeah, I got a little tight when I was out in the lead that second run. I hit the wall and then I lost the lead, and then I think I should have pitted a little bit earlier, a couple laps earlier. I would have maybe been out further in front at that last run. Maybe I would have been able to hold off Steven then at the end, but it was a good run. I had fun. Charlotte's a good track for me over the years of racing here.
Well, listen, we appreciate the time tonight. Congratulations on the second place finish, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right, just want to thank my dad, the guys at Benfield Motorsports, Turn 1 Broadcasting, and NC811 for sponsoring the series. See you next time.
See you next time. Troy Hayes going to wrap it up here. P2 tonight at Charlotte, and I got to say the same thing. We want to thank league sponsor, the NC811 Limited, or the NC811.org group for coming on board, making these shows possible each and every week. And man, you can't ask for much better racing than that. 3 cautions, a bunch of green racing, a green flag racing on track. Charlotte Motor Speedway is always a great show, no matter what you do. Stephen Luttrell, your winner here tonight on a Thursday night. We're done until Sunday, until we'll see you back again for the Jalou KC Select Series here on Turn 1, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. We'll see you next time for more racing action. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.